Hello again, Chowers, and welcome to Planet Film. As you can see, we're back in the darkroom again. We've got with us the 120 negs from the modified pinhole unit off the RZ camera. That was a successful test roll, so I'm going to choose a couple of negs and see if we can get a couple of prints done today. So let's get one in the neg carrier and get started. Okay, here we are. We've got our St Mary's Lighthouse negative in the neg carrier. What I prefer to do is just use a little bit of low tack masking tape along one edge of the film just to hold it in place, and once it's in place, give the neg a nice dust off, just a gentle bit of compress there, and that's ready for the enlarger. Okay, we've got the neg carrier in the enlarger. We've got the head raised up and the image is sized up roughly on the baseboard for the paper size that we're using today, which is 12 by 16. To get a more accurate focus, it's quite difficult to do with the naked eye focusing on the baseboard itself, because a pinhole negative is inherently soft, so you're never quite sure if you've found the sweet spot of focus. To eliminate any errors, it's easier to use one of these clever little gadgets. It's a grain magnifier, and as the name suggests, you focus on the grain of the emulsion on the negative rather than the actual image itself on the baseboard. So dead quick, dead easy, very accurate. So here we go. Lamp on, lens wide open, filters out. And we move this around just till we've got the centre point under the enlarging lens. You'll see the image come into view. And just by tweaking the focus backwards and forwards, much as the same as you would do with a manual focus lens or with an autofocus lens set to manual. And there you go. The grain snaps into focus, and you know that image is sharp regardless of what you'll see on the baseboard. Right, that's us nicely in focus, pin sharp. Next stage we'll do a step wedge test print just to determine our basic exposure. I'm not going to be messing around with any dodging, burning, flashing, any other darkroom techniques. I just want some nice straight prints off these pinhole negatives. Back in the day, they'll have been contact printed almost certainly in the early days. They'll have been contact printed, so there wouldn't have been any darkroom magic going on. All that would have happened is, as I say, a basic contact print, and that would have been it. Next step, step wedge test print, and we'll take it from there. So step wedge in the dev now. We've done 10-second increments up to 40 seconds. I like a long exposure, just so that if there's any dodging or burning required, it gives you a nice element of leeway. Your dodge and burn times aren't too short. I won't be doing any of that today. No darkroom trickery, no dodge and burning, no paper flashing. Just straight prints, straight off the pinhole negs. And here we have our basic step wedge test print. 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40. We've just got some detail coming back in the sky in 40. I'm going to do another test print at 40. I'm going to expose the entire test print at 40. Then I'm going to do increments of 2 seconds on top of that. So we'll have 42, 44, 46, maybe 48, something like that. So we've done another test print on the basic 40-second exposure, but with increments of another 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10 seconds. So it just narrows down your exposure to a more accurate level, ready for your final full-size print. So once again, stop, fix, rinse. And here we have the second test print. We've got a basic 40-second exposure across the entire test print. You can barely see this with the naked eye, so I doubt if you'll ever see it on the camera, but here we go. We've got an extra 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10 seconds on top of the 40. Probably where I can determine it the most is, that's the sea on the horizon there, whereas at the far end where it's only had another 2, 4, 6 thereabouts in the middle. You can barely see it. You can see it, but very barely. But here it's picked out nicely, so we'll go for a full 50-second exposure. Here we go, final print in the dirt. 50-second exposure. In the end I did concede, and during that 50 seconds exposure I just dodged some of these shadows back a little bit. Nice long exposure, so it gives you plenty time just to have a little bit of play with a bit of dodging or burning or whatever, just so we've got a little bit more detail in the rocks. There's a groin in there. It's looking like we've pulled it. We can see the detail in there a lot better than we could on the test print, so looking good. That one's cooked. Same again, stop, fix, a good wash this time, and then into the dryer. Okay, another neg. This time we've gone for the Life Brigade watch house on the end of South Shields Pier. So we'll just give that a light dust off. And we'll get that one in the enlarger. So now we have a quick test print in of the Life Brigade watch house negative. I haven't step wedged this one. The negatives look very much similar density, so I've just gone with the same basic exposure of 50 seconds. I'm not expecting to find much detail in the sky here. It was one of those days where it was just a cloudless blue sky. So maybe that'll be the next stage of the Pinhole project. We'll find a way of getting either a yellow straw or an orange filter over the front. I tend to use one or the other on any of the 4 lenses that I have for the Fuji 680. Particularly obviously on landscapes, that includes sky, just to try and get detail in the skies. Anyway, that one's done. And that test print was fine, so here we have the full-size print for the Life Brigade watch house negative. 50-second exposure, straight print. Let's see what we get. Prints in the dev under the red safe light do have a tendency to look a little bit dark. Once you get it over into the fix, get the room light on, quite often you might even find that they're a little bit too light, particularly in the highlights. So this is looking okay, I think. Okay, so there we are, we're cooked. That's our 2 prints done then. Nice and easy, nice and straightforward. So let's have a quick look at them and see what we've got. So the first print we did was a negative of St Mary's Lighthouse on the island at Whitley Bay. In the end, I promised myself not to do any Darkroom skullduggery, but in the end I held back the foreground a little bit here, just held a little bit back in the middle here, just so it would pick out these groins a little bit. The word disappearing into the black on the test print, and I did end up burning this top left hand corner in, so old habits die hard, I suppose, but all in all, very canny. And the second negative here, the Life Brigade Watch House on the end of the pier at South Shields. Just a straight print, nothing to report. I'm surprised at how sharp these have come out actually, given the focal length, but we do have the optimum pinhole selected on our pinhole unit for that focal length, which was a focal length was 120mm, I think, if I remember correctly, and a 0.45 optimum pinhole diameter. So just lovely characteristic of pinhole photography. We've got a little bit of flare, light bouncing around somewhere down in that bottom right corner, and there's a little bit jumped in the middle here. You fly by the seat of the pants basically, don't you? You can't beat a bit of serendipity, a bit of happy coincidence or a happy accident with pinhole photography. So that's the end of that session. As I said, it was just a test roll through, and I'm quite happy with it. To test that pinhole unit, I'm quite happy with it. I'll be doing some more with it, and I think I'll be transferring it over onto some other equipment. Got a couple of ideas in mind. So that one's a wrap.